All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to XP Overdrive. This episode, we are doing sequels, prequels, and remakes, and I'm joined by my two friends. So let's get into this. How is everybody today?
I'm doing great. As of recording, I'm maybe about half an hour off of stream. We just finished 2 full weeks of doing a big charity event for the Humane Society, and we smashed our goal. And as I've seen on Twitter and such, a lot of other people have also smashed their goals. So it's great. It's great to see that.
That is awesome. Well, but speaking of, the topic of today's episode, though, of course, like we said, sequels, prequels, remakes. To start off, though, I do want to ask, when it comes to what is your favorite series of games, is what I should ask, that has the best sequels?
Ooh, so this one, Professor Layton. So, I really like puzzle games, and I grew up with the Professor Layton games. Like, I think the first one came out when I was 11 or 12.
Nice.
And they just became my life for all the first 6 games. And then they made a game where it was like a crossover with Ace Attorney, which I didn't really play much of. There's also a movie, which is great. I think that they did a really good job, because it was like the first game was very lovely. You're in this like small town, and you're going to kind of like solve the mystery of like what this deceased like rich man's treasure is, because it's like in his will of like whoever can find it gets to keep it, and like everybody in town is just like, what is this? And so you turn up and you're essentially like essentially piecing together what is going on here. And like when you find out at the end of the game that specific treasure like comes up like throughout like the second and third game. The fourth, fifth, and sixth is kind of like a Star Wars where they go back in time. So like you don't see it there, but like I think the way that it ties things in together and like follows on things, and like even in those like prequel games, like kind of like gave us like some kind of foreshadowing, if you will. It was very lovely. I think it was done very well.
I've never heard of that. I'll have to take a look.
They're puzzle games. They were DS and 3DS. The latter two were 3DS.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about them. I haven't played
I like
yet.
puzzle games. Yeah, I like puzzle games. Puzzle games are great.
I am due a redo of those games. It's been a very long time.
Yeah, I think for me, I think my favorite game, there's a few, but I think maybe my number one favorite game with sequels. Well, it's a toss-up because there's Resident Evil, but I love the Resident Evil series, so the sequels for those are always pretty good for me, most of them anyway. And I've said this many a times, and I'm going to say it again, Fatal Frame. Those are my favorite games of all times, and to me, when it comes to sequels, Fatal Frame, I think, smashed it every single time they threw out a sequel. Normally you have Resident Evil who would throw out a sequel and people don't like it, or like it's the worst in the series. Like, this Fatal Frame has done pretty good so far in my point of view. Even the prequel that I got to play, like, it's great. I love Fatal Frame. Like I say, if you haven't, you need to play it. Gray agrees.
Yes,
I do need to play that.
It's just, it's just hard to explain the love for Fatal Frame that I have and how awesome and amazing that game really is. That is by far my favorite series of all times. See, every sequel, superb. And yeah. What about you, Gray?
I also have Fatal Frame on my list, specifically Fatal Frame 3 The Tormented, because that ties in the first and second games, so it really is a sequel to them.
Yes.
And I love that game. I think that one is so good. I need to replay it because there is another ending you can get on a second playthrough, which I really want to get. I also a third game in a series, Silent Hill 3, because it's a direct sequel to the first one.
Yeah.
I knew it. Well, because if we're doing
lists of sequels. It's just like, well, Silent Hill 3 is the sequel to 1, which I also like didn't expect them to go back to the older games.
Wait, so in regards to the second one, is that not a follow-on from the first? I'm coming into this having only played the first one.
Yeah, number 2 is completely different from the rest of them.
Yeah, it's a standalone.
Yeah, it's a standalone title, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, 2's the one that everybody always tells me to play.
Yeah, that's because 2 is probably the best game or the best Silent Hill, I guess they say. But
yeah, I liked how I'm a big fan of Yahtzee Croshaw, who does Zero Punctuation reviews on YouTube. They're amazing. He kind of viewed it, because Silent Hill 2 is like one of his favorite games, and he kind of viewed that what he believes like the developers did was they looked at Silent Hill 1 and they thought, hey, what was like the best part about this game? Oh, the environment, like the town of Silent Hill. So they kind of took that focus and made Silent Hill 2 more based on that.
Okay.
And I think that was like a really smart decision. I think that's why it worked so well. I like that they've then kind of, they just kind of made this standalone thing, and people need to stop touching that one. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. I agree.
Wasn't there remakes of the first 3?
Yeah,
I heard they weren't great. Was it like PS3 or PS4 remix?
There were HD remasters that came out, but there is a legit remake of Silent Hill 1, which I don't like, by the way. But
wasn't it like they took away the fog or something? I don't remember.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama. They also had an issue of like the voice actors and trying to get out of paying them. So I think they tried to swap. I don't remember the details. I just remember there was a lot of drama. So I do not support those remakes because it seemed sketchy.
Yeah, the only because what they did in the remasters or whatever, they kind of redid the voice acting. They redid. It sounds completely cheesy, like worse than what the PS2 version was, right? Like, yeah, they did it pretty bad. And then there's the remake of Part 1, which I also wanted to talk about, was like, that was a pretty bad one. They removed the fog. You have no combat, and it's just weird.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
how do you win the game?
Yeah, it's really weird.
You think really hard.
Yeah,
you have a polite conversation with the end game boss.
That's really it. Like that's really it. Like, there's no bosses. It's weird to explain. Like when you go through the monsters, there's a part of the area like a monster will start chasing you. You have to keep running from all the monsters that attack you, kind of like in hordes, and you just keep running through doors until you escape. Like you know what I mean? It's really weird.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
Pretty much. And it's really
not
stupid.
Like the Alchemilla Hospital game that they made. This is a different thing.
This is
I know they made a walking sim.
Yeah, it's what is it called? Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
Oh, I know that one.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I really want to play that one actually.
I know you tried at one point. I think, didn't you, Gray? Like,
yeah, it was buggy, so I need to fix it.
Yeah, it was just it's like I said. There's no combat, so the only thing is there are puzzles, and they got rid of the fog. Instead of like the fog and like all that stuff, it's snow and it's ice. So like it's a really weird. Like, it was supposed to be, it released on the Wii when it came out at first, and then later, like a month later, it released on PS2, and oh man, I was so happy and hyped for it, and then I play this game and I'm like, it was supposed to be this type of game that like plays you more than you play it, like it reads how you play, but it really it wasn't good at all.
With that, I'm not sure
like
I would put that as a remake though, because it's supposed to just be like a retelling. So they swap point of views and whatnot.
Yeah, that's correct. I would say more of like a retelling or a reimagining, because because I mean all the characters are in there, at least some of them from what I've beaten the game only once, so I don't remember all of it, but yeah, it's not. I don't know. I didn't really like it, but I mean, you might like it though. I mean, like I said, retelling, but it's no combat and all that. It kind of got me a little bit.
I think that from the story perspective and what the game turns out to be, it kind of makes sense the way that the game is set up.
Yeah.
I haven't played it myself. I've just watched a few playthroughs of it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind it. I wouldn't say that I think it's like a best Silent Hill, but I think it's still like a decent entry in the game, and I like what they tried.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I mean. It was good to try. I was, like I said, I was happy to play it when I got it, but I didn't like it after a while. It was like, I just didn't like the changes, but it was a good idea. Because of course, when somebody wants to remake one of your favorite games, it's always a good idea to check it out.
Oh yeah.
But if but when you want to talk about a really bad Silent Hill, just off really quick is Book of Shadows. So,
what is that?
Oh, I want to play that.
I know that one.
It was a multiplayer Silent Hill game.
Oh.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember what it was for though. It wasn't for. I think it was for the handhelds though.
It might have been. I think it was. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing gameplay for it a while back, and I was like, "This is horrible." It was really bad. I mean, yeah, but it didn't last long. And then, there was also a Silent Hill arcade, by the way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which actually wasn't too bad. But yeah, I can go on and on about Silent Hill, but yeah.
Well, I mean, since we're doing sequels, prequels, and remakes, we have Silent Hill Origins in the prequel category.
Yes. Oh. Yes, good game.
I liked that one, yeah. I know
Loved
it got
it.
like a lot of hate, but I thought it was pretty solid.
I don't know why it got the hate either.
I think because another game that got a series that got prequels was Resident Evil with Resident Evil 0.
Yes.
Which was like a great game. I really liked it, but it fell into a little bit of a pitfall that some of these in a series where if you make a prequel after you have other games, you can sometimes kind of fall into making plot holes. So when I was like researching and like taking notes for this episode, I had never thought about it. But why does Rebecca not tell Jill and Chris about the zombies at the end of RE0?
Yeah, I knew you were going there. I was like, yeah, that's the plot hole I was thinking, because I'm like, why didn't she tell him about Billy and the zombies?
Yeah. So it's like it's tricky. I think Origins did okay in that regard, but yeah, it's tricky if you add a sequel later. Like you gotta make sure it all makes sense. Yeah,
it's true. Like I knew you were going there because I was like, yeah, that was my biggest gripe, because when Resident Evil's before Resident Evil 0 came out, it was only significantly released on the GameCube only. So like they remade Resident Evil 1 only on the GameCube at that point. And I thought they were going to do it that way because, if they're going to remake it, then they got the prequel coming out. I thought they were going to do that whole thing. Yeah, they didn't do it. But yeah, Origins was good. I don't know why it got the hate. I don't know. I loved you. You want to know the real reason why I loved Origins is because you could fist fight.
Yeah. It was so funny.
It was funny. And it was fun to me.
Punching Silent Hill monsters.
Yeah, because like it made you feel kind of not scared because you're like, oh, look at this big monster. I can go up and box him. You know what I mean? It was so cool. And I think you could also pick up like, I don't know, there was a Silent Hill where you could actually pick up shit like TVs and like.
It was Origins. Yeah.
Yeah, you could pick up like TVs and like everything and hit people with it. Like it was so cool. I mean, that's just me. I think if I was in that situation, if I had nothing to fight with, I would definitely throw a TV. So.
Heck yeah.
Origins gets a thumbs up.
That reminded me. I go like in phases of playing Breath of the Wild, and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and I was looking through the clips that I'd taken on my Switch the other day, and there was one where there's like different types of enemies in Breath of the Wild, and there's like these bigger guys called moblins, and there's like the littler guys called bokoblins. And like, I'd never seen this before until this one time. At this point, I had hundreds of hours in the game. I'd never seen this happen. But I was like, they were just coming up to attack me, and then this fucking moblin just picks up the bokoblin and just fucking throws it at us. And I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Man, Breath of the Wild.
It just reminded me of that. You talking about picking up TVs.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild was awesome. That is a good sequel too. That was actually one of my favorite Zeldas out of Actually, if you want to be real, my favorite Zeldas, and I might get some kind of flack for this, but I like a lot of them. Don't get me wrong, but my favorite are A Link to the Past and
Link to the Past is my all-time favorite game.
Yeah, it's
great
my
game.
all-time
My
favorite.
actual all-time favorite game.
Really?
Yeah.
This is why we're friends. See? It's the one on SNES, of course, and then of course Ocarina of Time. And
I like Ocarina of Time. I don't think it's aged very well, mind you, but I like
it hasn't. And then my other favorite was Twilight Princess.
Twilight Princess is great.
Ooh.
I'm on the other end where like I get a lot of hate for this because one of my favorites is Skyward Sword, but the original Skyward Sword because I haven't actually played the Switch version yet.
Yes, the original Skyward Sword was so fun.
Because it got like shat on for because like Nintendo was real big on like this is the Nintendo Wii. Its selling point, motion controls.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was super big on kind of trying to incorporate that into a lot of their original IP. And like Skyward Sword was, I guess, probably the bigger of the new Zelda games that came in that kind of generation. And it got shut on because of the motion controls. And I'm in the camp of saying that I don't think they were that bad. I don't think they were a nuisance at all. And I actually really liked it. But I was also like 14 or something.
Oh. Well, I agree with you.
Didn't really care. I was very open to just adapting the controls in different styles. Now I'm just like I get into a game on Steam, I'm just like, okay, we're remapping those controls right now. Actually,
yeah, I agree with you.
That reminds me of the for the DS Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
Spirit Tracks is so good.
Yeah, no, you have to like blow into the microphone to create wind in the game.
I remember that. Oh my gosh.
God, I miss the Nintendo DS.
Yeah,
it had so many good
I
ideas.
love my DS. I need to actually beat Spirit Tracks. I haven't beaten that one. I also, one of my favorite Zelda games, A Link to the Past, obviously, classic, but Minish Cap?
Minish Cap, oh my god, I love it so much.
That one.
Wait, I don't think, if I remember, I'm not sure if I played that one, but that wasn't that the one that you could do 4 players or you could summon 4 like links?
No,
close.
that was 4 Swords.
4 Swords.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Minish Cap, you had a cap and you would get really tiny.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
And the main villain was Vati.
Okay, I have to go through
I
that
haven't played it in years. I just remember really, really liking it and
Minish
thinking
Cap
like it was such a solid game.
Minish Cap was so good. Like, A Link to the Past, I was talking to my partner about this, like, not very long ago, and I was just like, man, A Link to the Past really did give me, like, a complex about, like, reading out loud, because of the different names that are in that game that are so hard to pronounce. Like your main villain, Aghanim, but it's spelt, like, so weirdly. And then it's like, you gotta go see this, like, this elder cult, Sahasrara.
Oh my god,
like,
Sahasrara, yes!
It's like me as a kid trying to, like, be like, what do I do? Like, what is this?
Man, yeah, Zelda SNES, the A Link to the Past, like, when I got a Super Nintendo, it came with that. Zelda game came with it. So it came with this, like, this little booklet that came with it, and they would, tell you how to play the game and certain things you can do, kind of like a little mini guide, I guess. But when you could actually open the booklet up and it unfolds, and it like there's this giant map of Hyrule. Like it was, I just remember spending so many countless hours playing the hell out of that game.
Like, I miss games that came with maps.
Or
like posters or whatnot. Those were always really fun.
Oh yeah, those were great.
I miss that. I miss like when games would put like wee things in the covers, like a poster or like even in instructions, but
Yeah, you don't do that no more unless you got to pay for extra edition. Special edition.
Like a pre-order bonus or like a special edition. Yeah.
Ooh. And really quick, speaking of another Zelda game, there's one that a lot of people don't know about. Back in the day, SNES had this online cartridge you could use to get online. Now, mind you, this one was released only in Japan because, well, sort of, because it didn't fully, like, the cartridge didn't fully release. They were trying to compete with the Sega channel. So there was an episodic Zelda game that came out back in the day called Legend of Zelda and the Ancient Stone Tablets.
Oh, I don't know this.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah, so I didn't know this until like a little while ago, maybe like 2 years ago or something, and I looked it up. It's actually fully playable now. You can download. Somebody found a way to put it all together.
No.
So,
oh my god, I gotta play this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can look it up. It's really cool. So I do want to play it, but yeah, it was like a 4-episodic like Zelda game. Like you had to literally wait like till the next like week or so to play the next episode. It was really cool. I actually seen someone stream it a while ago when I first started streaming. But I definitely recommend. I mean, a new Zelda game. I mean, come on, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so I recommend that Zelda Ancient Stone Tablets. So definitely check that out if you haven't. But yeah, Zelda games. Man, they have. I don't think was there any bad Zelda sequels. I don't ever recall.
Some people might say so.
So
Yeah,
some people might say actually the second game, Adventures of Link. But I think a lot of that might be because A, it's quite old.
well, yeah.
And B, it's quite difficult.
Well, yeah, it is difficult. Now, I loved it as a kid. I mean, it came out when I was a kid, so it was like...
I've actually never finished it, because, like, I played it... God, I was somewhere in my teens, and it was a bit too difficult for me.
Yeah. Oh,
but
it was
like,
difficult when I was a kid.
I haven't went back to it, and I could, because I have access to it. But some people would say that. I don't agree with this one, but Wind Waker got a lot of shit. I love Wind Waker. It's one of my favorites. But
yeah, I like Wind Waker.
It got a lot because like people were expecting like a Twilight Princess kind of game, like with that, and then they saw this kind of like cartoony style of thing, and they were just like, "What is this?" It got a lot of shit.
It's not always about the graphics, yeah. I mean, the game was so good. I love that game too. And if you want to talk about a really terrible Zelda, actually, I just thought about 2 terrible Zelda games, but I've never actually played them, and they're old. But back in the day, there was a before we had CD games, there was these Samsung the CDI games.
The CDI games.
Yes.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3.
There's 3 of them.
Yeah, Link, The Faces of Evil, Zelda, The Wand of Camelot, and Zelda's Adventure, right?
Yeah.
No, those shouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
but I'm so glad they did because the
they look
cutscenes
so horrible. The cutscenes.
The cutscenes are the best parts.
Yeah, the best parts of it are the cutscenes, but the games were terrible. And I think one of them you could actually play as Princess Zelda. So that was terrible. I don't think it was necessarily like licensed by Nintendo or anything, but yeah, those were terrible games. I've looked at them and I was like, wow, like that was bad. But I mean, I kind of want to try them if I was able to do so. I want to see if
I can like find them somewhere, you know?
I do. I want to try them just to see what's like.
I'm sure they're findable.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they are. I will find them, and I will definitely try to play.
we both stream these games.
Yeah, because back then you could play it with a remote. Like it was weird.
Yeah, like a TV remote.
Yeah,
yeah, TV remote. It definitely was not playable. I definitely want to try it. I'll send you guys videos if I find it, and I'll record it and send it to you guys.
Please do.
I'll send it to you.
To continue with a little bit of Nintendo here, Pikmin is one of my favorite series. Maybe I get too attached to these little guys. These little guys. I love them.
I think I've heard of this one.
But like the first game is very like you're a pilot. You're a spaceman. Olimar is your name. You're just on holiday, just in space. Just going on holiday, and you crash into an asteroid and land on this planet, which you don't know the name of. We don't know the name until Pikmin 3, just PNF 404. And you're essentially trying to find all of your ship parts that are broken off and repair your ship so you can go home to your family. And then in Pikmin 2, you get back to oh god, it's Hooktape. You get back to Hooktape. And the president of your company is there with like there's another ship there and another member of your team, I would assume. And he's just like, well, the company just went bust. We're gonna have to sell your ship. And it's just like, what? And he's like, we're in this much debt, and it's like an outrageous number. And like he's brought back this wee bottle cap from the island. It's not wee, it's like the size of their torsos basically. But like to us, it's like a bottle cap. And like this other ship is meant to like scan things to like help kind of pay off the debt in a way. It's a bit weird, but it's a thing. And he drops this in like absolute shock, and the ship like picks it up, and then the president sees like, oh, so this place you were at, profitable? And so it's like he sends Olimar back there, but he sends him with Louis, and Louis, I don't particularly like Louis, but Louis is kind of like a comic relief character. And that makes Pikmin like a game where you have to manage two different captains. So it kind of becomes like an RTS in a way. Like where like you're controlling like two different camps in a way. If you so please, but it's recommended because there's so much you can do, especially in Pikmin 3. But Pikmin 2, 1 and 2 are very closely connected. Pikmin 3, sort of. It kind of starts out with a cutscene where it's like, your planet of Kopai, you have all been pretty terrible with resource management, especially when it comes to food. So your planet is going to starve. So they send out like a lot of like different spaceships just to try and find a planet that like had like sustenance that they could eat, that they could use. And they found one. And it's your wee spaceship with Alf, Brittany, and Charlie, which is meant to be alpha, beta, you know? Like it's meant to be that kind of play on. It's great. And you also crash land, and you lose all your teammates, and you do eventually kind of like get back together. And it's this whole thing of like throughout your time there, you're like finding these like kind of data entries that Olimar has written about this place, and like there's sometimes like little entries about Louis and such, and it's like it's very sweet, and you kind of have to rescue them in a way because they're also stuck here. But Louis kind of a piece of shit who like steals all your food, and also Captain Charlie's rubber duck, which is a big thing. It's very lovely how they're all tied together, and I think it's a great example of like kind of how to carry on a series without just reusing the same things, if you will. But we don't talk about Hey Pikmin, the DS game. We don't talk about that. That one doesn't exist, actually.
I've actually never even heard of these games. I write these games down as you tell me, because every time I hear a new game, I'm going to write it down.
They were on GameCube, the first two. And the first one is easy to get on GameCube. And like you can get it for cheap. The second one, it took me a very long time because people were like charging so much. And then I saw somebody online who was just like had it up for like 30, and I was just like, sold. It's mine now. Pikmin 2, GameCube, mine. Pikmin 3 is on Wii U, but Pikmin 3 Deluxe is on Switch. And the Deluxe is very good. It's so good. It's so pretty. I love it so much. I'm actually going to be, we talked about Breath of the Wild earlier on, but next week I'm going to be starting like 2 challenge runs of both of those games because of the charity event.
Ooh.
And I'm very excited because I miss Pikmin so much.
Aww.
Oh yeah, well I'll definitely tune in. That sounds cool. I'll have to check them out. I'm always down for some new games. You always give me some interesting games to check out, so I always write them down. I've got like a whole thing here. Now, also really quick, I do have a quick question. What is your most favorite or best remake to you of all time?
I do. Pikmin 3 is definitely up there.
Yeah.
Shadow of the Colossus did a great job. It didn't necessarily change a lot, I would say, but visually, it was very lovely.
Yeah, it was good. I like that one too. My favorite is Resident Evil 2.
Oh,
that's a good entry.
Hands down. What's that?
That's a good entry.
Oh yeah, Resident Evil 2 for me. That remake, I think hands down probably one of the best remakes I've played. I think maybe of all time so far. Like it, you know, I mean, Resident Evil 2 has a special place in my heart, of course, because I love the Resident Evil series. But that part 2, I spent so many hours on part 2 back in the day on PS1 because it had 4 scenarios. So that was just playing all of that, and just man, just that remake. It was more scarier. Mr. X gave me anxiety. Like
Oh
that,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Like,
you know he's coming to Dead by Daylight just now.
Yeah.
No, sorry, it's not. Wesker's coming to Dead by Daylight just
yeah,
now.
Wesker, yeah.
Okay.
And oh my god, dude.
But
I mean,
I have a theory. I think because like Dead by Daylight do this thing where like they'll release like skins that change your characters into other characters. But
Yeah.
they've only really done it for the survivors. And I was like, they're missing some potential here doing them for the killers. Because like
Yeah.
survivors wise, when they released the first Resident Evil chapter, like we have like Jill, Leon, but we also have Claire and Chris as like skins.
right.
And I believe for the Silent Hill chapter, we got Cheryl and James, but I believe we also got Sybil, and I don't know if we got the nurse or we just got a cosmetic for like a nurse outfit.
I'm not
But,
touched on Dead by Daylight. Like I need to get into that
Oh, I
again.
love
Heck
it
yeah.
so much.
I do.
It's super
yeah.
fun.
I do. I think Resident Evil 2, man, hands down, best remake. That and probably like Resident Evil 3, even though it gets a little bit of hate because it's really short. But I love
But that's,
RE3
I mean,
remake
Resident
too.
Evil 3 started out as just a bonus for RE2. It didn't start out
Yeah.
as its own game. So when it was, you know,
Yeah.
it was always going to be shorter because it wasn't supposed to be a
Well, yeah.
standalone.
Exactly. The original RE3 was actually short too. People, for some reason, people don't seem to remember that for some reason, but it was short.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess my only thing with RE3 remake is that a lot of people have is they cut out the clock tower section, which is
I
actually
heard that they did cut a lot of content.
yeah, they cut the clock. Well, the clock tower section was probably one of the best parts of the game, I guess. Well, it was for me too, but I mean, and there's a few other places, but I mean, to me, it was still good. I liked it. It was fun, you know, whatever. Like we got RE3 remake, and I think they did a pretty good job. So I loved it. But what about you, Gray? What are your best remakes for you?
It's so tricky. I do really like, you know, because I haven't played a lot of the original RE games, so I do like the remakes because those are what I've played. But I actually think I might give it to remakes of older games that just I wouldn't have access to without them being remade. Which you like, I think of like some of the older Final Fantasies and whatnot, but I'm gonna give it to Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I didn't expect that.
I remembered, I think my brother playing it forever ago, and I thought it like seemed kind of interesting, but if it hadn't been remade, like I'm playing it casually like on my DS, if it hadn't been remade for a more current platform that I own, I'd say DS as if that's current, but you know what I mean, like a platform that I actually own, I wouldn't be playing it, and it's an absolutely fantastic game, and I think it's really good for these classics to be updated enough to be put on more current platforms. That way just newer generations could have access to like these great classics. So yeah, Chrono Trigger.
and I'm jealous because I wanted to play Chrono. I eventually will, but I played the Chrono Cross. Well, it's not a remake, but it's like a remaster that they released everywhere. The PS1 version. And Chrono Cross is a horrible remake or remaster.
Oh no!
So
It is?
it is.
Well,
I went through it.
I
I went through the whole thing on my YouTube channel. So
Yeah, I remember watching that. I think Chrono Trigger might also be on Steam now. I think.
it is. Yeah, and the only reason that now, don't get me wrong, like Chrono Cross is a great game. It's just the remaster and the port is really bad. They dropped the ball with that. Like it's now granted it's a port of a PS1 game, right? And they upscaled it, you know, all that stuff. But you get less like the frames drop really bad on PC. Sometimes it had a lot of bugs. Like put it like this, like I had to go and download a 60 FPS mod from a modder community just to play the game. Yeah. Yeah. And that's incredible to me because Chrono Cross is a PS1 game. Like you would be better off emulating it. Like that's how bad it was. Like you could emulate it and it would look way better compared to what they did with the remaster. It was pretty bad. But I downloaded the mod for the 60 frames and that made it more tolerable. But the story is still great though. Like I would say if you want to play Chrono Cross, just play it on PS1 though. Unless they update it or something, maybe I don't know if they have yet or anything because I haven't touched it since I got one of the endings. But yeah, Chrono Cross, definitely. The Chrono series in general, like Grace said, Chrono Trigger is a great one too. So
so good. It's so
yeah.
good. Also,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Steam having a lot of the. I did a playthrough recently on YouTube of the Final Fantasy III remake that's on Steam.
Yes.
Ooh,
Which
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
I have a
Steam's
couple of
been
the
uploading
others.
them. It's been great.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is great. I just like that it's more, I don't know, accessible. I'm kind of torn about the art style that they use in those remakes. I would have
Okay.
rather it stayed like the 8-bit instead of like the, I don't know, like cutesy 3D little chibi things.
Oh yeah.
I'd prefer the classic look, but still being able to conveniently play these old great games that have these great stories, like
Yeah.
I'll keep my complaints to a minimum.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah. I that was one you went through on your YouTube as well, if I remember right.
Yeah. It
Final
was so
Fantasy.
good.
Yeah, that was really cool. I have not gone through that one. I'm sleeping on some of my Final Fantasies. As a big Final Fantasy nerd as I am, I've missed a few. So I will eventually go back and play some of those for sure.
I think I have like 5 and 6 on Steam that I need to go through.
Now there was one that came out on PS1. It was 2 Final Fantasy games in one. I think it was Final Fantasy Anthology or something. Or
Oh.
I can't remember. I think it was. Let me see. I think.
Also, just talking Final Fantasy, huge shout out to Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. That is one of my
Yeah.
favorite games.
Oh
It's
yeah,
so
that's
good.
a good one. So
Great
yeah, I was
story
correct.
too.
So Final Fantasy Anthology, excuse me, was a compilation. It was Final Fantasy 5 and 6.
The ones whose remakes I have on Steam.
Yeah, so it was yeah, that's what it was. And I remember the reason why it was such a big deal when it came out is because they actually decided to make full FMV movies for it
Oh.
or something like that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I had it at one point. I like I said, I didn't go through all of it. So after playing like Final Fantasy 7 and 8 on the PS1, I was like, what the hell is this? But like, I like I said, I need to go back through it. But yeah, I mean, it's a good one. But now they're on Steam, so play those ones.
Yeah.
But I will be going through those. Maybe the newer ones on Steam will probably be easier for me though. But
I think some of the classic versions are on Steam too. I think some are the classic and some are the remake for a few of the entries. Don't quote me on that, but I think the last time I was going through and adding all the Final Fantasy I don't own on my wish list, I think that there were some duplicates because it depended like, well, which version do you want? And I was like, there are options.
Right.
So yeah.
Now, when it comes to remakes or sequels, I guess you could say, I'll ask the question and I'll answer. But the remakes and the sequels that I want, like, think about which ones that you want that you haven't seen, right? Like me, I think, well, for one, my number one that I want when it comes to a sequel or a remake or whatever would be a Splinter Cell game.
Oh my god, I haven't heard anybody mention those in so long.
Yeah.
Same.
So, yeah, I'm a huge, well, I love stealth games in general, but I'm a huge Splinter Cell fan. And my dear friend Cervantes, he can tell you this. Anybody that knows me would tell you this. Okay, so as you know, Splinter Cell has missed the whole PS4 generation, PS4 and Xbox One. There hasn't been one since PS3. So every year or every time they would have like an E3 or a game conference, Ubisoft would go live, and I'm literally anticipating a Splinter Cell, right? Like, I'm just like, they've got to, because it's been so long, And it's like, nope, there's no Splinter Cell, but Sam Fisher is going to guest star in this game over here, or he's going to be on a mobile app over here. And it gets to the point, there was this hashtag I used to throw out called FU Ubisoft. Like it used to make me so mad because people were laughing because they know they would hit me up and they'd be like, oh, I didn't see any Splinter Cell on there. Like, yeah, like there's no Splinter Cell. Where the hell is Sam? Like, Sam Fisher is in Rainbow Six Siege. He's in both Ghost Recon games, the Wildlands and Breakpoint. He's on a mobile app. He's in a few other places. And I'm just like, is at the point to where like Sam Fisher is going to guest star on like an episode of The Bachelor or something? Like, like Ubisoft won't do anything with with Sam Fisher. Now I did hear that they are working on one now, or supposedly a remake, but I don't know. But I'm a big Splinter Cell fan. Ubisoft, please give me a freaking Splinter Cell game. Like, just please.
It's like I'm not one of these folks, but like I have a lot of friends that were like fully hyping for like oh my god, why for Dragon Age, the Dragon Age games.
Oh yes,
because like
yeah,
they got another one got announced sometime this year, I think.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they talked about it last year, but they didn't say anything about it.
Yeah, but like I couldn't tell you years off the top of my head, but it's been a while.
Yeah, because I actually recently just played Inquisition last month. I love Inquisition.
Yeah.
And they left that story hanging. I'm just waiting.
I would like going back to Zelda and Nintendo. Switch is like the convenient console right now. It's the console that is the most up-to-date console for Nintendo. And I'm honestly surprised that they haven't ported over Wind Waker. But like I feel like they haven't because it was kind of a big selling point for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Like my Wii U is the Wind Waker branded one. So like I feel like that might be why they're holding off, but it would be a good time to do that. The Oracle games would be a great one. Ages and Seasons.
Oh
yeah.
Because it's been
I never played those.
Nobody talks about them.
They don't, because I forgot about them.
They're so good games. Like, and they're definitely due something. I would like Pikmin 1 and 2 to be on Switch, but we did just get a Pikmin 3 Deluxe, so I'm okay. That's fine. I'll take it. But yeah, I think some of the older Zelda titles do deserve at least like a port over, like not like even a remaster or anything. At least just port them over, just stick them on the channels that they already have, because they have the NES and SNES channels, and they just recently brought in the N64 and Sega Mega Drive channels. So like they have it there. They could just do it. Just throw them on. That's fine.
Yeah, well, because they are porting some of the other stuff from the shop over, aren't they? Like some of the old, even some of the old SNES stuff, the Wii U stuff. They are porting over. I'm pretty sure.
They're slowly bringing them in, which is really cool. I haven't seen much about like Wii stuff other than like Skyward Sword was brought in. Which is a step in a good direction, because well, the Switch has arguably better motion controls than the Wii had.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have that there. They have the capability of just being like, oh, we had these Wii games. We basically shut down the Wii because they closed the shop channel for it. Yeah. And they just, I think over the last couple of years, did it for 3DS as well, which hurt a bit. I was like, oh no. So they could get these games and bring them over, even if they just like, even if they put them on the store for like a little bit of money, like, because they're not making money from them otherwise. And I think it would be a step in the right direction. But Nintendo are super adamant that they don't really look back on things very often, and like kind of, I guess, take that and like bring it back. They're very much like an innovation kind of thing, where it's like it has to be something new all the time, forever. And I think Nintendo, like, as much as I know they're a Japanese country, and that's very much like a thing, like I get it, like I think they would benefit from looking at their older consoles and being like, well, what worked here? Like, what is the things that people are missing? Because it was nice when like they brought out that Mario Connect, the 3D Mario Superstars, where it was like a bundle of Mario 64, Mario Galaxy, and Mario Sunshine, but they only had it on the store for a limited time, and I don't get it. Like I actively don't understand why like they had this brilliant thing, because these are 3 games that like everybody kind of hails as like some of the best Mario games, and they had them there, they had them right there, and then they're just like, JK, we're taking them away in like a few months though, like a few months, and I don't get it. I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, I don't know why it is so weird they do that. I've heard so much about like how they do that. There's so many games I've seen that people want from Nintendo, and they just kind of like, I don't know, it's just weird. They just kind of just go, nope. Yeah, because you know, especially when it comes to like Zelda, like people want some Zelda remakes and things like that. Yeah, they don't get those. So, but you know, but really quick, another ones I want to name really quick. The ones that I want, like I said, Splinter Cell. There's Siphon Filter, which I want. If you don't know what that is. That's a great, it's another like not stealth game, but you play as like this dude named Gabe Logan. It's kind of like a stealthy action game.
So bad at stealth games.
And so Parasite Eve. Parasite Eve.
Yes.
One of our friends was streaming it tonight. Parasite Eve 2.
Yeah, Ink Ribbon.
Wait, Ink?
Yeah, I rated it.
Yes.
I love Ink.
So good.
Ink's a wonderful person, by the way. But,
she is. She was also doing Dino Crisis recently, which those should also be remade.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get to. Parasite Eve is definitely one, and Dino Crisis. Damn it, Capcom! I don't know what you're doing. You gave us Exo Primal. We don't want that. I want Dino Crisis. Like, and then of course the one that I have a problem with. Why are we not remaking Resident Evil Code Veronica? Like, why do we need a re-release of Resident Evil 4 again? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like because I love Resident Evil, but Capcom I think has re-released Resident Evil more than Skyrim at this point. and no lie, dude. And I mean,
Skyrim gets a re-release like every 2 years or something. Like it's fucking, it's so much. I love this.
Yeah, it's funny because the only one that I bought though, the only re-release of Resident Evil 4 that I actually enjoy is the VR version, because it was rebuilt from the ground up for VR, and it's really fantastic. I do say that, but yeah, I wish they would have done Code Veronica instead of 4, since we've gotten that so many times on every generation of systems since the
I'm
PS2.
definitely kind of in that camp of like, if it's been remade before, like look at your other games first, and then look at this. Right. Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, but out of all of those, Parasite Eve is definitely one that I really, really want to see because it was an RPG but survival horror. And I like back then it was like a mix of my two favorite genres, and it's amazing. And not to mention, Parasite Eve is based off of a book, which is so. So there's a movie of Parasite Eve as well. It's in Japanese, right? But like that movie is based off the book. But the game that we got is based off the movie, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, it's a cool dynamic. Part 2, Parasite Eve 2 wasn't, I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't, to me, it wasn't the greatest. But I still love it. But I want a Parasite Eve, like, well, they did make a 3. It was on the PS Vita, is that the handheld? Yeah. Like the PSP or something? Yeah,
but I want
the PS. They did PSP, and then PS Vita was kind of like a handheld version of the PS4, if you will.
Yeah, but it was like for the first one or whatever. It was like it's called the third birthday, and while it was okay, but I want a real full like Parasite Eve reboot or like some type of sequel. Like I want something out of that. That would probably be the main one that I want the most is Veronica and Parasite Eve. I would say that. What ones do you guys? What sequels or like remakes do you guys want?
Well, 2 of them come to mind because of the things that you just said. First of all, the Capcom old games survival horror RPG. I just replayed it for YouTube. Sweet Home.
Oh yes.
I would like a remake of Sweet Home or just port it. Honestly, it's good as it is. I don't know what a remake would look like. That could maybe not be great. But another video game that I want to try, I want to find it, which is also a book that got turned into a bunch of movies, but then also got turned into a game, and I don't know a lot about it because it's really hard to find, but The Ring got turned into a game a billion years ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of The Ring and Ring You and all that, like, massive fan. Whatever this game is, I want it. You can remake it, like, whatever allows me to play whatever that is, I want it.
Right. That would be interesting. I would love to see something like that.
Yeah.
If they can make what's The Grudge? If they can make Ju-on or The Grudge into a game, they should do The Ring. Because there is one.
There is. I've watched gameplay of it. I haven't played it. Well, I think it's for the Wii.
Yeah, it was for the Wii, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's the Ring Terror's Realm or something.
Yep.
It's an oldie, like,
I'm looking at it right now. What did it come out for, though? Was it on the, I wonder what it was.
I don't remember what it was for.
Oh, wait, it was for Dreamcast.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to remember that.
I just know it's old.
Yeah, I'm going to remember that because I'm going to try to look for that. Cool. See if we can get that going.
Yes, that would be, I love it so much.
Yeah, that would be really, really dope. I would love to see something like that. And Sweet Home, too. Sweet Home, since it was like the inspiration for Resident Evil, I would love to see what they would do for that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that would be cool. Especially for, well, it was an RPG as well, so.
Yeah, and it's really good. It still holds up. It's a really good, solid game. So if they didn't revamp it, at least port it and the Fatal Frames. At least port it over.
Fatal Frame 6, come on.
Well, also Fatal Frame 1 through 4. Can you please be on Steam? Because I own 1 through 3, for the PS2, and that's how I've played it.
Right.
But PS2s are kind of getting scarce as well. Like, not a lot of people have those anymore. Yeah.
Big question, Gay. I think I know the answer to this one. It's the same as mine. But what Fatal Frame would you want to be remade?
Oh, honestly, I think it would depend. I wouldn't really want them to change stuff except maybe tweak controls a bit. Yeah. Remakes, honestly, generally make me nervous. If it's something like a Parasite Eve, that could totally use a graphic overhaul, update the look of it, sure. But, I mean, I think that the look of the Fatal Frame still holds up, and I would be nervous of, like, what would you change with a remake? Would you make it weird? Would you make it bad? Yeah,
see, that would be me, because when it comes to when it comes to any remake, especially certain ones like Fatal Frame, I think I wouldn't want anything changed. Maybe a graphic overhaul would be fine. That's cool. And maybe
just,
some
update it.
Story? But,
yeah, I don't know if I'd want them to touch the stories, because the stories are good.
Well, yeah, not tear up the story, but maybe just add some extra context to some of the stuff. Maybe nothing like, oh, this really happened on this, nothing to tear it apart. I don't want that, because my favorite Fatal Frame is Fatal Frame 3 as well. So
yes, I love.
And
so good.
and Fatal Frame 3 was just so dope because the way they did the scares. I remember when I first played it, one of the things that got me the most in Fatal Frame 3 was I was walking through a hallway and randomly a ghost just came through the wall and pushed me. And I was just like, what the hell? Who? Why?
I just love that you can pet a cat.
That reminds me.
You have a cat.
Fucking the Silent Hill 1, the 2 jump scares that got me in Silent Hill 1.
Oh yeah, because
Silent Hill 1 could use a graphic update.
Yes,
I could use one, but I'm scared about that.
That would be nice. But I think, speaking of which though, Fatal Frame 1 though, I would probably want to see another, not a full remake, but at least maybe an overhaul bit. Just because, but funny enough, Fatal Frame 2 was where I first started playing Fatal Frame. I didn't get my hands on 1 because when I was looking for Fatal Frame 1, the only place I found it was on eBay, and that damn thing cost $145.
Oh. So
good to know. Because it was very popular.
Not that I would ever sell them.
Right. Yeah, and I was just like, but for someone who did, I guess they had the right idea, because Fatal Frame 1 was one of the best horror games out, and of course, loosely based on it says based on a true story. People love that.
I mean, that was purely American marketing. It's not.
Yeah, I know it's not. It's just, it was just like, oh, this is based on a true story. You got to play this game, and I'm like, as a teen, I'm like, oh shit, I want this game. Yeah, but I got Fatal Frame 2 first, and then I wanted to go back to play part 1.
I think I played 2 first, but then, because a friend of mine owned it, and then she she had acquired 1 through 3, and then she sold them to me for $17. Oh, because this was forever ago when it wasn't rare, and so I took them, and I was just like, Good. This is a good deal for me.
Heck yeah, it's a good deal. Oh man, Fatal Frame. Woo. Like, yeah, and I was mad. I was mad at Tecmo for a while because we didn't get any more Fatal Frames on PlayStation consoles. They all went to Nintendo. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I found the clips, like, because I think it was Violet. Violet clipped 2 jump scares in Silent Hill that got me. It's like it just reminded me of that, and I was just like, oh my god, I have to show you guys these.
oh yeah,
Please do.
I'll definitely look. I want to see them.
It's so much.
There's actually clips of me too when I first started streaming. When I first started streaming, I was streaming a few times a week. But every Saturday was like horror night, and I would stream Fatal Frame when I first started. And I don't know, I'm sure Gray knows who Matty T is. He's a great guy. He would come in and he would scare the living crap out of me playing Fatal Frame. That was like the first. That was like the first ever start of like the horror streams. Was playing Fatal Frame. So I've got some clips of that one too.
I love that. I love these because like I screamed so loud that my mic settings picked up and cut it out. It was so funny.
I think I've seen this. Yeah,
Yeah, I think I was actually in there.
You were here. I see you in chat.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, I was like, I think I know this.
I think I was lurking. If I knew you at the time, I think I did. I remember someone scaring you, and I remember you screaming, and I thought you like threw off your headset or something. I don't know.
So this is the first.
Like.
This is the first one. We're gonna be heading over there, by the way. Okay, there was nothing in here. Look, the sound is gone.
Yes, that's the one.
It's so funny. And this one's like relatively similar. It's hilarious to me.
Oh
No.
man.
Actually, not at all. Okay. Go for slash. Okay. That one, I was just like, I pushed myself away from my desk. I remember that. I was not okay. It was.
Oh man,
hilarious.
I'll have to bring it up a little bit, but there was a stream of mine like that, where I got so scared I kicked my camera off my desk.
That's right.
And I don't know if you remember that or not, but
I wasn't in chat that night, I don't think, but I saw the clips.
Yeah, we were playing. What were we playing? I think we were playing Devour, and
Oh.
Yeah, that will do it.
Yep, and I kicked my cam right off.
Oh yeah, I remember this. I believe
Oh,
I own Devour, so, but I've never played it.
Yet.
Yeah. It sounds like you might need to play with us, Baka.
Play with us. Yes.
I'm just saying. I did find this. I want to show you guys this really quick if you guys want to check it.
There's 2 goats right here. There's 2 goats.
Gone, wiped out. Oh god, that's. She's just taking you. She's just taking you. You're going on a date, actually.
Just going for a little ride.
That game
I
there.
love the person just like, I'm dead.
That was Cervantes and Mila.
Aww.
Yeah, that was when we were first doing the first like few Ghostbuster streams, and yeah, that was fun. That was something. Do you have to play with us now, Baka? Because that
I can do that. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, there's been some updates to Devour, but when that lady, when she gets you, like you don't know most times, that jump scare. Oh, you thought that Silent Hill scream was something. You're going to get it on Devour.
Oh god.
Aww.
I'm just
Poor
saying, you're going
Baka.
to get.
Let's
Yeah,
prep
poor
my
Baka.
neighbors in advance.
Well, you know what? If I got to scream and stuff, you got to do it with me. I will not
Dad.
play any of those games alone. You're welcome. You're welcome. Don't worry, I'll be there to protect you if I'm not running myself. Just saying.
If I'm not running myself, I love that.
Which I will be. I'm just letting you know I'll be running anyway. Because I don't
think-
wait, have you played Devour with us?
Me? No, I don't own it.
Oh, we've got to get Great
Oh.
Devour. Just so she can knock over her background thingy.
Again. for the second time. That was I think my first.
What was the first?
That was my first co-stream I think I ever did. It was with Witless Lamb.
Oh, really?
Before Autosave Social Club was a thing. We played Phasmo together. It was both of our first times, and we went in pretty blind. And a ghost. It wasn't even a haunting. It just, you know how they can sometimes randomly appear. Yeah, right in my face.
Oh,
in my face.
Oh, wow.
I screamed and shoved back, and this whole thing just like went. And yeah, it was great.
That was a great clip. That was a great clip. I actually had another one like that too. I'll have to pull it up sometime. But it was we were playing Phasmo when I was walking through the hallway, and the ghost spawned right in my face to where like I was inside of that ghost like halfway.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, the sound that came out of me during that time, like I was so scared, and apparently it scared everyone else because when I look out, everyone was outside of the house already. So they left me to die, pretty much.
I mean, can you? I don't think that's a blamable situation. If someone's going down, you just run.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I can't blame him because I would do the same thing. But I'm just like, why'd you leave me?
This is why we say that Gray would be like in our groups, like the final girl situation. It's Gray. Like, yep. Gray's got the knowledge here. Gray's like, oh, you're dying? No. Bye.
But
I love you
first.
all, but I'm a run.
Yeah.
See, I die first in the games, but in real life, I'm a final girl.
Yeah,
it's already been decided. Actually, like my old haunted house where I worked at, it was decided.
Yeah, see, when we talked about meeting up and going ghost hunting at some point, we were like, I said I'm going to be the last one in and the first one out. That's my motto right there when we go ghost hunting. I don't care if we were in somewhere and I heard someone kick a can. There's like, where'd Rain go? Where's Rain?
He's back in the car.
He's already in the car. What the heck?
He's
like,
actually at home. He's having barbecue food. You just
like,
snap.
I heard a noise, bro. I don't know what that was, but I just heard something, so I just took off. I wasn't playing no games. F that ghost.
Did I ever tell you guys the time that like my bosses at the haunted house played a prank on us?
Oh no. No.
Okay, so there was like a group of us. We were at the haunt after hours because we were repainting one of the hallways, and it was just like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 of us, and we had propped like the emergency exit door in the haunt. We were at like the exit of the haunt, and there was like an emergency exit door like the opposite wall, which was like halfway through. So like that was propped open for fumes, and we heard a noise, and so the manager was just like, I'm gonna go check that out. And so like she ran off, and we were just like, do we need to like go looking for her? Like, what is going on? But also, is she playing a prank on us? Because it very much could be that. And so eventually we decide, like, okay, enough time has passed. Like, let's go make sure that this girl's alive. And so we go through the haunt, which, you know, it's after hours, and so it's in the dark. And we're just, like, going through the maze that is the haunted house. And then all of a sudden, we hear the freaking chainsaw.
No.
Oh.
No.
And the chainsaw is just chasing us through the haunt, and we're just like running out the other way. And of course it was the manager who was just like, I saw a golden opportunity, and we're just like, cool. But at that night, they decided, they were just like, yep, I would be this trope, like this person would be that trope, and they voted I would have been the final girl because I ran. I was like, I am out. No.
This is something I want to see. Just seeing Gray be that scared and just darting out somewhere. Like, this is something.
In my mind, I was just like, I know it's my manager, but at the same time, I'm not sticking around to find out. Like, no. I'm gone.
Outlast 2 isn't as good as the first game. I would say it's worth a once through.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not as good as the first.
It's not. I I've only watched the playthroughs of the games. I haven't actually played them myself. I thought Outlast 2 looked really, really disappointing. I don't think it was anywhere near the same level as 1 and Whistleblower, which, like, sequels are hard.
Sequels are hard, especially when, like, the first game, like, was praised so highly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think maybe, sequels are definitely hard. I think the second one also because it was more, I don't want to say open world, but it was more open-ish. It had to deal with a lot more bigger places. And I think maybe that's why, I don't know, because, you know, for me, when it comes to horror games in general, I think the not just the fear of dread, but like being in small places and like not many places to run to or hide is what really makes it scary. Like part 1 with the Asylum, you didn't really know where you were going, and it was all closed in. I think maybe that might have been a part of it too, because I remember not enjoying, I mean, I enjoyed it, but I remember kind of like, it doesn't feel the same as part 1.
Yeah,
and,
I also,
I didn't like the... was just superb, but...
Yeah, I think confined spaces definitely lends itself to more horror, but I also, I really didn't like the jumping back and forth between, like, being in the rural area and, like, the... Yeah, I don't like when games... Actually, I don't like when any media does that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think most of the time they don't do it well. There have been very, very few times where I've thought that a time jump was good. Actually, the only time I really, really liked it was the Fight Club movie. It's the one time I think they did it really well. But, like, honestly, overall, I just think it's a gimmick to kind of, like, I don't know, it's like you had two interesting ideas, so you're using this gimmick to have both of the things versus just, I think it works a lot better if you just, like, tell one story regardless of which one it is. I don't like hopping back and forth.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, back and forth is I feel that way too. I think the only time I don't want to say it's a back and forth thing, but when we're going to like Code Veronica, right? Without spoiling it, like there's a part where like you play as Claire for the most part, but you actually play as Claire and Chris. So like there's a part where you escape, you get away from this place as Claire, and then your brother's trying to find you, so you go through him after you left trying to find her. It's like it's the way they do it, I really enjoy, but it wasn't a time jump, right? It's not like this confusing storytelling, if that makes sense.
Yeah, switching between perspectives, that's kind of different for a game. Yeah, for sure. That's what I mean, yeah, but I agree. I think time jumps sometimes. Like, I'll tell you one that gave me a really weird, like, well, it's not a horror game, but it was Beyond Two Souls. I was just thinking of that one. I hated that game. I'm sorry. And yeah, all of the millions of time jumps where it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah, so that's the thing I had a problem with. Like, I enjoyed the game and the story, but for some reason, like when you beat the game, right, they let you play the game in order. And I'm like, why do they do that? Like, why do they, like, I get what I guess they're trying to tell it tell the story in a different way, but yeah, I didn't like the time jumps in that at all.
Yeah, it just
really
made
bad.
it weird.
They really did.
I don't know. You can kind of do, because there's a book, what is it, Beautiful Monsters by Chuck Palahniuk, that the original version, the original version that went to publication is it in chronological order, which was not his intention. So later on they did a Redux version that is the way he intended, which is not in chronological order. Like, if you're doing it as like a piece of art, sure. But yeah, in this video game, that just, no. I'm sorry, just no.
Yeah, I feel you, because I'd be like, oh, I'm Jody, adult Jody fighting ghosts, and then the next chapter I'm a little baby. And I'm like, yeah, like I want to play as the one fighting the ghosts, like, you know. And I was just like, damn. But you know, fun fact, I don't think people know about this, but Beyond Two Souls actually had 2 players.
Oh, wait, one is the Jody and the other is the ghost?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're the ghost. Yeah, which is cool. I've never actually tried it though.
That game just struck me as weird. I mean, not even just David Cage being a gross, disgusting person, but just outside of that, it just seemed like, what do you want it to be? Because it's just like, oh, she's a soldier. Oh, she's, you know, hanging out with indigenous people and exploring that culture and their mythos. Oh, she's also like homeless and like helping, you know, being a good Samaritan and all of that. I'm just like, what is this game though? Like, what are you actually trying to? What is your actual story? Because it seems like you have 100 ideas and you're just throwing them all in.
Yeah, pretty much. It was very confusing. I mean, like I ended up getting the story, of course, but it was just kind of like, for the most part, it was really, out there, confusing with the way they did that story. So when I actually did beat the game, it was kind of cool to go through it in chronological order, which to me was a lot better. But yeah, it was very confusing. Yeah, they threw a lot.
And also
of
the ending bit with Willem Dafoe, who like love him, but also it's just like all of this lead up and then that, without spoilers. But like, what?
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, that's one, and that, like I said, that's another one. Well, I guess it's not necessarily like a sequel remake, but it's from the same company. But it's like that was just that was really told out of order.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
One thing that I do like, just to kind of piggyback off of this, is like I don't mind flashbacks, like flashback cutscenes. I'm totally cool with. Like we talked about it a lot here, but like Alice Madness Returns does that, where it's like generally like at the end of chapters you'll get like a cutscene where it's like talking about like the house fire or something to that nature, and like flashbacky cutscenes I think can work really well.
Yeah, I think
they can work. Yeah, I don't think they always work, but that it makes sense in that game, especially because she's literally trying to regain her memories.
Yeah,
so
she's trying to kind of like work out what happened here. What is the truth in this?
Yeah, for sure. I think they work 100%. Yeah, like, well, it depends. Yeah. But like in Alice,
not like the DBZ abridged that points out where like I think it was Vegeta telling a story and then someone asks just like, okay, well, how do you know about the parts that you weren't there for? Like, there's a way to do flashbacks and a way not to do flashbacks.
I know, right? Gosh, that's very true. And speaking and I know that. Gosh, that is a bad thing. That game. Funny Dreams and stuff in their games, man, the flashbacks and all that stuff is something good. Yeah, and speaking of another one though, of some remakes, or maybe I don't know, maybe even sequels. Actually, no, a full-on remake. So I talked about Final Fantasy VII remake a lot, right? And of course, me being a nerd of that, I want a Final Fantasy VIII remake though. That's just me, or at least some love for Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy VIII was my favorite.
Well, because, like, 8 is still pretty new. I feel like if they were going to do remakes, it should be some of the older more loved. Because, like, I know 4 was loved.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was a re-release. It was like a remaster. It was like a graphical or, like, upgrade type of deal. It's on Steam. Like, you know.
That's literally the only Final Fantasy game that I own.
Yeah.
I need to get that one.
8 is my favorite out of the... I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Final Fantasy VII. But Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite. I don't know why. I love the story. It's more of a mature story, but it's the systems in it. Like, if for some reason it got a lot of flack too because of the junction system, but I loved it. I don't know why. I loved it. I mastered it. I found every item in that game. Like, I played that game so much, and I love the story. Like, it's insane. Like, and here's a funny story about Final Fantasy VIII. When I bought the game back then. They said it was just like a story based on love, which was weird, right? But it's really not. It's not this cheesy romantic type of weird love. Like, it's really not. It's like it's hard to explain, but the story is so awesome. I really, really recommend you play that. The story is it's great.
I would like a new sequel to the Final Fantasy series that's more like the older Final Fantasy games, like from the main. I mean, 14 is really fun. I don't really have complaints, and it's so different. But the last like regular Final Fantasy game I played was 12, which personally I loved. I know that one's very divisive. I love that game. I have put in over 200 hours in that game. Like, I adore it. Oh,
yes, 12. Like, Final Fantasy 12 is great.
It's so good, but like 13 and 15, you could not pay me to play. Like. Nope. Not gonna happen.
13.
I'm like literally like
my wife, Lightning. How dare you?
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna play them.
That's fair.
But like, and that's like a thing that they actually were talking about recently. Kotaku did an article about how the game developers at Final Fantasy are trying to figure out, like, how to make, you know, like, in planning a next game of, like, what is the direction we're supposed to be going. And I really hope that they choose the same kind of direction as their older games, because I think they've kind of seen that, like, the trends they've been going towards are not the best.
Well,
also,
Final
that Chaos
Fantasy's...
game needs to go away. That looks so
chaos.
bad.
It's chaos. I'm
chaos,
chaos.
Chaos. Chaos. I need chaos. No, that game does not exist. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Now, I've got news for you. Final Fantasy 16 is definitely not that. It does look good, though. I do want to try it. I want to play it. I'm going to because I'm, Final Fantasy, but yeah, I would love to see them go back to the old ones. Like, and you're right about 13 and 15. More or less, like 15. I have my problems with 15 because in order to figure out the beginning of the story, there's actually a tie-in movie that they had, which nobody even knew really existed. So,
that's
that
a bad
ruined
gimmick.
it for me.
Don't make people have to do homework to understand what your video game is.
Right. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to play the game. Let me do it in there. Not to mention, they also released DLC of, like, like there's a part in the game where one of your team members like leaves off or something like that, and then they release a DLC for it. I'm like, that sucks. Like, give me the real full Final Fantasy experience like you used to.
And that should be for every single game. I am so sick of them, like, releasing part of a game and then keeping key other parts of the game behind, like, paywalls or DLC or what have you. Like, make a full game and put it all out at the same time. Just one game, full game, start to finish. You have all the different things. Like, it's such obvious money grabs, and it's so really frustrating.
It is frustrating.
And honestly, it damages the game itself.
It really does.
It's like,
I mean,
what I like about, like, indie devs is you'll see as, like, they'll put out their game, and then, like, you'll see, like, progressively, like, bug fixes and such, but then they'll be like, oh, I'm now working on this free thing that I'm gonna add to the game because you guys wanted something. And I'm like, that's lovely. You're listening to your fans, and your fans are saying, this game is great. When's more? It's not like not like you planned more. Like, this was the game that you put out and you love it and it's your baby. But now your fans are like, this is great. We want more.
Right,
and you'll see it in like devlogs and such, where they're just like, oh, we're working on this now. Thank you. And I'm just like, I love you.
Yeah, it's great to get full games. Like, it reminds me really quick first, when you're talking about Final Fantasy 12, Grave, Final Fantasy 12 is the reason why I love the Viera so much. That's why I'm a Viera in Final Fantasy 14, because of Fran. Fran is Bae. I love Fran. So,
I love Fran too. I loved Ash. Princess Ash.
Ash is great too. I do love
oh my
Ash.
god. What is his name? Fran's partner,
Balthier.
Is that who? Yeah.
Yeah, hers like
the Sky Pirate guy.
Yeah,
One of my favorite quotes is from him, where it's just like, every day there are new and exciting ways to kill a man.
Yes, I love that.
He was so fun. He's just like, you're not the main character, I am.
Yeah, that's what I loved about him. And other sequels, like when we talk about full games, that's why I love, and don't get me wrong, I love both of them actually. I love the Dying Light games so much. Dying Light 1 is way better, of course, but Dying Light, well, Techland in general, Dying Light, they supported that game so well to years and years, all the way up to the release of Dying Light 2. Like, they released DLC, but like, it wasn't like missing game. Like, you had a full game, and then after the game was over, they released a DLC that was like a new story after the events of the game, right? But they kept releasing more content and more story mode. They released more online modes and more, like, they supported that game so well to where they even let communities make their own like maps and own game modes out of this game. Like, especially on the PC mainly, but like, that game was so good. I recommend playing part 1 first. I don't know what they're going to do. Part 2, they're releasing their new DLC story soon. I don't know if it's already out, but Dying Light, 100%, like, probably one of the best games that's been supported by like the company in a long time. It's a full game, 100% recommend. But yeah,
That's so important because I started streaming. I haven't played a lot of it, but Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is such a classic, but no developer support. So like I had to get a mod patch to literally make the game playable. Like you can't, the way that it has it, the like version that's on Steam that I own, when I started, because I didn't know this at first, and I started streaming it, and then there were people who were popping into my chat who like know the game, you know, they're really into it, and they could tell that I wasn't playing the modded version, and they were like, you need to get the modded version, because the just standalone Steam version, you will literally not be able to beat the game because of like glitches and things that are wrong with it. Like you literally need to get the patch in order for it to be playable and to beat it. And it's like, that's insane. And you know, this is such a classic game, but there's just no standard support for it. Apparently when it got put on Steam, they just put it on Steam and no one has looked at it since. So they just like don't even touch it. So it's just community love that like has preserved this game.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. It's funny how communities can do that too. I like, which I love, and it's cool that, you know, yeah. But it does suck when companies do stuff like that. And that brings me to another question, because I have one in mind. But what is the sequel that you guys were looking for that was coming out but actually got canned or scrapped?
Okay, that's hard. I think I feel bad for saying this, because you'll know when I say it, but because of everything that went on with the company, but I was hyping for Diablo 4.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so sad when Blizzard just had to go and be Blizzard. Because, like, the Diablo games were, like, they were my college games. I played them a lot when I was, like 17 and 18. And I've not touched a Blizzard game since everything happened. And it pains me. So that's one. I know that it's still in development. I'm not saying it's cancelled. I know it's still in development. But Alice Asylum, what will be, I'm assuming, a sequel to Madness Returns. Very excited for it, but I'm very scared because it is taking quite a while. Previous to the last, I think, 2 months or so, my answer would probably have been Silksong, but we did actually get news at one of the gaming events that it's going to be like a day one exclusive to Xbox Game Pass. And then Xbox put out that all the games that were shown during the showcase will be out within the next year. So we at least got something. We didn't get anything from Team Cherry, who were like the devs, and I love them. They're like a dev team of like 3 guys. Like, they're doing the best they can, but I do wish they would communicate a bit more.
For the Alice game, though, I mean, American Mickey's Alice to Alice Madness Returns, there was an 11-year gap.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah,
you know, it just might be another 11 years.
Maybe.
What was it, like 2012 or something that Madness Returns came out?
I don't remember. I just remember it was 11 years because I was very much trying to pay attention
2011.
to the... Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been 11 years.
So it has been 11 years. Well, but when did he start development for the sequel? Did he start right after?
I'm not sure. I know there's a Patreon for it, though.
There is?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Patreon. I was on it too. He has a YouTube too, and I was watching the YouTube video, and they were talking about all the stuff on Patreon and stuff like that too.
And I think it'll also be harder and longer because they, you know, Madness Returns happened to get picked up by a bigger developer. I don't think that's going to happen this time around. So it's just going to be smaller teams, fewer resources. So it is just, I think we're going to get it. Yeah. I just think it's going to take
a while.
A very, very long time.
Yeah. I just remembered. There was going to be a Purgatorio for a second game and for Dante's Inferno based on like the second bit of the Divine Comedy, Purgatorio. Like
they were gonna do all 3 Purgatorio Purgatorio and then Paradiso?
Yeah, they were gonna do it, but it got canceled.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, I heard that I didn't play the Dante game, but I was of course
Great
interested in the Dante game.
Yeah.
But that the first Lust was super well designed and all that,
Yeah.
but as it went on, it was apparent that they didn't have a lot of funding, so it kind of the levels weren't as good.
It fizzled a bit, but I did really like it. I can understand it getting canned though, because of course Inferno, you have so much to go on, and Dante's Inferno in general is it's not necessarily very violent, in a sense of what we would expect when we say that, but in the sense of these are the punishments that these people are going through. They are relatively apt and gruesome in some ways.
Oh yes, they are. Very familiar.
But with Purgatorio, it's not quite the same. It's I don't know how they would kind of transition this this action hack and slash game into this. But I guess they did it for the first game, but and then especially with Paradiso, because it's very much not. So I can understand how it's how it didn't really make it past very far. But I would have liked it, even if it was kind of like a walking sim.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be hard.
I think the games that, I talked about this once before, but I'm still salty about this. And I was just watching someone else actually play this the other day. One that I was really upset they got canned was Prey 2. I'm so salty about that. Though, don't get me wrong, I love the new Prey, but I was so salty.
I adore the new Prey. I did not realize that the new Prey had so much hate, because I love that game.
Well, that's the reason why
so
it gets hate. It's not that it's not a great game, because I think it's a good game too. I
know a lot of people have consider the new Prey boring, which I don't agree with personally.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't agree. I think it's good. I liked it. It's not necessarily I didn't like it as much as Prey, the original Prey, but I still liked it. I still loved playing it, but people are giving hate to it because of Prey 2's cancellation. That's what I think. Because Prey, the first Prey was so good, and then you get you see gameplay. They were always showing gameplay of Prey 2, and you're all hyped for it. But then of course it gets canceled, and then Prey comes out that year later. Okay. So I think that's why, but I still like that Prey. You're right. That Prey was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
I love it. Honestly, that's one of my favorite I would put that in my top games. I don't know where, but I thought it was great. I thought it was solid. That actually reminds me of sequel that got a lot of hate that I do not think deserved it. Bioshock 2.
Oh, I like Bioshock 2.
I thought it was a good game.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I think maybe we're the same. We just enjoy playing games for games. There could be some out there that are really, really bad, but
Yeah, I thought it was
that's
solid.
a good game. You're right.
Yeah, I thought it was a good upgrade to the battle system in the first one. The story was still interesting. I really liked it. I might I know it's so weird because for so long I loved it so much, but I've kind of been re-examining it. I might put it above Infinite.
Oh yeah, I've actually never played Infinite yet. I have it, but I haven't played it. I actually got it for free because Epic gave it away for free.
Yeah,
Yep,
me too. Yeah.
Yeah, we all grabbed that.
I'm so torn. So Infinite was one where when I saw the initial development trailers and clips that were coming out, what we ended up getting was a very, very different game. I think that what it was originally would have been a lot better. I think that Infinite, it just... So, one of the first things that I noticed that I didn't really like about the Infinite versus Bioshock 1 and 2 was, Bioshock 1 and 2 felt more real and grounded, because you have these powers that players can get, and it felt real of how those powers would immediately throw everything into chaos. Let's be real. People can, shoot fire from their hands. Yeah, we're going into dystopian mode real quickly. Infinite, there are some people who have powers, but everything's still hunky-dory, which I'm just this doesn't feel right at all. And yeah, just too much of, you know, like the tracks that you can like hook to not really connecting to anything. It's just like, okay, well then what is the point of that in the real world? Like, I feel like it was a much more just like the mechanics, but it didn't, none of it felt grounded in the worlds that you're in. So it just felt really fake, and it didn't really, you know, the suspension of disbelief wasn't really there. Plus, I don't know, that game got really weird and like trying to be philosophical, and like some of the characters who were interesting and not, you know, like the Lutece twins were really interesting as characters, but yeah, I just think overall it was a little sloppy. So I think I rate Bioshock 2 above it.
That's fair. I haven't played it yet. I'm going to once I get through all of the games that I've been playing. Speaking of another sequel, well, two. One of them is we were pretty sure. I'm pretty sure a lot of us were pretty sure until just recently that Dead Island 2 was going to be canceled.
Oh, yeah.
And
I didn't even know that they were doing one.
They just showed gameplay of it the other day.
Yeah.
Gamescom.
Yeah, Gamescom. Like
Yes.
they announced Dead Island 2 like years ago at an E3. Like, I mean, forever ago.
I'm
And
pumped about that.
oh, dude, like I was so happy, and I'm like, oh, Dead Island 2 is so cool. And then we didn't hear nothing from no one for years. And then like Goat Simulator 3 just did a trailer of Dead Island 2. They
That's
trolled
right.
everybody because I was like, is this Dead Island 2? And it was really just Goat Simulator. But like, yeah, Gamescom, and it's like, here's Dead Island 2, and they actually showed gameplay. And I'm like, what? So yeah, we got some gameplay of Dead Island 2, which I'm very happy. I'm glad it's not canceled so far. So yeah, actually they actually had a release date, which I don't remember, but
Ooh.
they actually did, I think, show a release date as well. And I think it comes, yeah, I think it's in February of next year.
Ooh, very
So,
nice. I still need to
yeah.
beat OG Dead Island, but that was a great game. It was really
yeah.
fun.
Oh yeah, and I think that's what spawned Dying Light, because Dead Island, you know, their whole deal, because that's what kind of that's what Dying Light reminds me of, Dead Island. So.
Dying Light reminds me of Dead Island mixed with Mirror's Edge.
Yes, it's pretty. That's pretty much it. It is. It's pretty much it. It's got the parkour. It really is Mirror's Edge and Dead Island at 100%, and it's fun though. Super fun. Yeah, that was But I'm so happy we get Dead Island 2. Thank you, God.
Yes.
I've been waiting on that forever. So yeah, I think all of those sequels. There's another game. I don't know if you guys know this one really quick. There's another game that I wanted to see sequels of. It was a game on PS2. I don't know why I used to love this game. It was called Oni. And
I kind of have a memory of that.
Kind of.
Oh man, it was such a good game. It was you have to look it up. It's a really cool game. It was just a third person like shooter, kind of like not, I want to say stealth action shooter, because there was some stealth elements, but it was really fun. The female protagonist was in it. She was really cool. She had like these cool powers or something like that. I only played the game a few times back then, and I used to love it. I had lost the game, and I just would love to see another Oni game. Like that was that was a real fun one. I do recommend those.
Well, that's been us. I've learned some things today. I actively learn a lot during these podcast episodes, because like last week we were talking about movies, and I say to my friends, like I generally don't watch movies unless I'm watching them with friends. So it's those taught me a lot. And
Oh, for sure.
Movie night,
What I learned
movie
today-
night.
Yes,
what
we
I
got movie
learned
night
today
coming
was
up.
that I play a lot of Nintendo games.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, Nintendo solid.
Hell yeah, games are games, man. Let's go.
Heck yeah.
Well, that is it for us. I do appreciate you guys for watching. Please make sure you check our socials down in the links below. And without further ado, thank you for joining. We're out, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.